Bouchard has a proclamation for Londonderry Trailways.
Can we have the Londonderry Trailways folks come up here, please, and stand up?
Oh, yeah, please.
And I think it would be good for the work that they've done that we all stand while you read this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Next to my tea towel. I think that's all we have here. Oh, no, John's here. Come on, John. Yep, apparently. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
This is Resolution 2026-13, a resolution relative to recognizing Londonderry Trailways for outstanding service to the community. Whereas Londonderry Trailways was established in 2000 as an all-volunteer nonprofit organization dedicated to developing safe walking and bicycling routes in Londonderry, connecting neighborhoods, schools, businesses, conservation lands, and community destinations for people of all ages and abilities. And whereas for more than 25 years, Londonderry Trailways has expanded public access to outdoor recreation and alternative transportation by building and caring for conservation area trails, neighborhood connections, and the Londonderry Rail Trail. And whereas the organization work includes trails at Kendall Pond, Adams Pond, Moose Hill Orchards, and the Musquash Conservation Area, as well as the school pathway, the Kings to Laffa connection, the Laffa Loop Trail, and ongoing maintenance by dedicated volunteer trail stewards. And whereas Londonderry Trailways has helped complete 4.5 miles of the town's 6-mile rail trail corridor, transforming a former rail line into a highly used community asset and an essential link to the future Granite State Rail Trail and the broader Southern New Hampshire Regional Trail Network. And whereas, through sustained partnership with the town residents, the Conservation Commission, businesses, and charitable foundations, Londonderry Trailways has leveraged substantial support to take the lead in raising the funds necessary to create and maintain these resources for the entire community. And whereas these achievements have been made possible by the leadership of Board President Bob Rameau, Vice President Sandra Legou, Treasurer Rich Engler Jr., Secretary Mike Baylor, and members at large Josh Cook, John Daly, MD, and Paul Marglione, together with the enduring service of longtime volunteers Don Thompson, Mike Eaton, Jamie Staten, Colin Creed, and Megan Rameau. And whereas the volunteers of Londonderry Trailways have strengthened community connections, encouraged healthy outdoor activity, improved access to public lands, and created lasting public infrastructure without paid staff, exemplifying civic leadership, steward, and service. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of London Town Council of the Town of Londonderry, that Londonderry Trailways, its board of directors, its longtime volunteers, and all who have contributed their time, expertise, and resources are hereby recognized and sincerely thanked for more than 25 years of exceptional service and for creating a safer, healthier, more connected, and more welcoming Londonderry for present and future generations. Thank you. Sandy.
We have a presentation from Londonderry Trailways regarding rail trail projects. Sandy and Bob. Good evening.
And now for something completely different. There's no action that we're asking from the council tonight. We were just doing this as a courtesy so that you knew what was going on. We'll make it as brief as possible.
You have a remote right there, if you want to do it.
Yeah, so we were established in 2000. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. There's 7 of us on the board, and our mission is to really make Londonderry more walkable, bikeable, safer, connect neighborhoods, schools, and just make it more pedestrian friendly.
One of the reasons we're doing just this little bit of background is there's a lot of new people in town who may not be aware of who we are. So I think everything that was read in that lovely proclamation, thank you for that recognition, is what's in the opening slides. So we just wanted you to know the depth. There's been many different board of directors over the 25 years. This is the current members, the kind of backgrounds that people have, and we really wanted to mention the dedicated long-term volunteers that you see at the bottom of the slide who are in every week doing something somewhere. And beyond those, there's many other volunteers that come once in a while that are too numerous to count, and many, many people making donations. Many, many citizens, hundreds of citizens making donations over the years.
Yeah, so basically most people know us for the rail trail. That's the most obvious trail that we have in town, but we also engage in other trail activities. We've done some really nice projects with neighborhood connections. Right behind here is the Kings to Laffa, and also the Laffa Loop Trail. That's the newest trail. The first big one was the school pathway back in 2006 that we did.
And this is about making the town more walkable. These are examples of making the town more walkable. So looking forward in the future, when you have especially highly densely populated parts of town where development is happening, you want to be able to make sure people can walk to a store and don't have to get in their car to go 0.2 of a mile. And Gilcrest Road south of 102 comes to mind as an area that's very densely populated, and it would have been nice to if people could have just walked up to Hannaford's or walked up to Home Depot or Staples without having to get in a car safely. Without a place to walk, people won't do it on a busy road. It's a natural, so keep in mind, we'll come to you more often about trying to work on making things walkable.
Yeah, and then also we've worked on trails through the woods. A lot of people know the Adams Pond Trail. And then years ago, we did a lot of work in the Musquash and the Kendall Pond Conservation Area.
Yeah, and the reason those last two are grayed out, when the Conservation Commission, different people come on boards over the years, they're running that show themselves. That is much less us and much more the Conservation Commission. And when they call or they text us and they ask for help, we gather up some. So we don't want to overly take credit. We were in Kendall Pond and Musquash all the time 20 years ago and 15 years ago, but they're running that show well without us. They have a great group of volunteers of their own.
Yeah, so just a couple photos of some of the volunteers and projects up top. That's actually work on the Laffa Loop Trail that was completed a couple of years ago. Down to the right, that's the Adams Pond Trail. That's always in need of maintenance. And the pictures on the left, that's the rail trail. And you could see, we've even invested in new equipment where you see someone on a lawnmower there. That looks pretty good.
And across the top, as Bob said, that's the Laffa Loop Trail being built, and there's board of directors out there directing traffic. But I wanted to mention on the upper left, that's Shady Hill. Shady Hill volunteered their time, their personnel, materials to that. So we engage with really wonderful local businesses. On the lower left, you see the Rotary, the Londonderry Rotary, coming out to do some maintenance on the rail trail. So it really is a lot of different people over any course of the year. And then you can see a random tree down across the rail trail. This kind of thing happens all the time in the storms, and so we have a couple of different ways to mobilize. If it's really big, even Bob won't tackle it. We call DPW, and they come out and help us out. We try to handle things safely on our own, but when it gets to be up to a certain level, which we don't have to do very often, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not very often, yeah.
You got it.
So now we're going to do a deep dive into the rail trail. And I just put a quote here about parks and playgrounds are the soul of a town. These things really matter to people. People want safe recreation. And we have so many wonderful volunteer groups like LAFA, like the folks who redid the basketball court, like the soccer fields. These things really matter to people, and a way to walk and recreate when you're not with a ball-oriented sport is a different alternative. It hits a different population than people who play organized sports, and they're all really important.
So really, we embarked on the rail trail in 2010. We paved our first mile in 2013. By 2019, we had 4.5 miles. Way more progress than any other town in the state of New Hampshire. A lot of progress has been made. Between Wyndham, Derry, and Salem, there's 9.5 miles. So you see that little red piece between Derry and Londonderry, that's about a mile. Once that's finished, we're going to have about 15 miles of continuous rail trail in the state of New Hampshire, and that will definitely be a big tipping point for us.
Yeah. Kirsten, is there a pointer on this? Probably doesn't
It's
work on the
top
screen.
part. I think
No.
it's the middle. Is it the middle one?
That's okay. Never mind. I don't think it'll work from. And just to follow up, that red piece in the center between the 4.5 in Londonderry and the 9.5 south of us, that red piece is what we're going to zero in on and talk about. That's thank you for pointing. That's phase 7 in Londonderry. And when you cross over the town line into Derry, that's Derry's last piece, and that's where the infamous tunnel is going. Everybody asks us, where's the tunnel going? Where is it in the big picture? And so right over the Londonderry line, that's the piece where exit 4A comes in and where the tunnel, as far as we know, will be going in. And what you might not be aware of is this whole stretch from the Massachusetts border in Salem up to Manchester and beyond, all the way up into Boscawen and all the way up to Lebanon, is going to be called the Granite State Rail Trail. And we are a key link smack in the middle of that. So it's important that we push on and make progress. So in the next slide, we're going to take just the Londonderry part and dive in and just show you we have 2 pieces left to do. Phase 7 to the south connecting with Derry, and phase 6 to the north connecting with Manchester up really close to the airport. And we numbered these, I think, in 2013 or some long time ago. Yeah. And so we numbered them, and we did them in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to do 7, and 6 will end up being last, because we couldn't tell that long ago which one was going to go next. So these are some before photos. This is what it looks like when we begin a phase. The top 2 photos shows you examples of we're looking right down where the trail is going to go. You can see they're impassable. They're overgrown. Some of them look better than this, but most of the segments that we take on look like this. And the dirty people across the bottom is, how many trucks did you? I didn't show up that day.
So last fall we did 5 truckloads of trash out of the section between the Stumble Inn and the Derry border, and it's just every segment we've picked up trash, and we turn lemons into lemonade, basically.
They're really significant, like, rehabilitation projects, and it's a dirty job the first time you get out there and take over a segment. And this is what the typical after photo. If you haven't been out there, I really, really encourage you to take a walk. I'm sure most of you probably have, but go out there and feel a little bit of a sense of peace, a little bit of a sense of connection to your community. Watch the faces of the other people smiling. That's my favorite thing to do when I'm on there, is to look at the faces of what other people are doing when they're out there. And that's what this town is really about, that kind of connection. This is just a quick, we won't bore you, but Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission puts out a free counter. I'll let you speak to this one.
Yeah, so they basically provide reports to us on a monthly basis. They put counters at different places along our rail trail and other rail trails, and as you can see, the popularity of people using the rail trail keeps increasing. People use the rail trail all 12 months of the year, 7 days a week. It's just unbelievable. And, you know, you can look at the numbers and you know, we're over 200 people a day are using our rail trail.
And we really thank the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission for their support, because this kind of data helps us when we write grants. When we write grants asking for businesses to engage with us, they want to understand the utilization. And so this kind of data helps us generate funds. And so we're here to basically this one last slide to tell you about Phase 7, the piece between where it ends today near Derry and going actually to the Derry town line. Over on the circle on the right shows you the funding sources. So there's a federal grant that was actually written by the town, by our dear Kirsten over there. She wrote that grant, and it came in for $422,000 for Phase 7. And Londonderry Trailways made a commitment to fundraise $113,000, and there was a warrant article that was passed by the citizens for $105,000. So for a $105,000 investment by the citizens of Londonderry, you get 422 plus another 113. So that's the way we like to do things. We like to take 100,000 and multiply it into 600,000. And we really want to recognize and thank the New Balance Foundation. That is the charitable arm of the company New Balance, who's building a factory in North Londonderry, as you all know, but just for those at home who might not know. And they have a competitive grant process. We've been working with them for a year. They came and did a site visit. There is a lot of paperwork you have to fill out. It's by invitation only, and we were just so happy and thrilled when we were chosen to receive a $50,000 grant, which is part of what we put in the orange, our Trailways commitment of 113.
Yeah, I think what's also important is to recognize so many local businesses have contributed. People individually have contributed. There's no donation that's too small. We have ongoing donations of just $10 a month. Every little bit helps, not only for the development of the trails, but also the maintenance. You know, we keep our trail really nice, really clean, really safe. So I can't thank everyone enough for the contributions they've made to keep the ball moving forward, so to speak.
And then just at the bottom, you can see what's been accomplished lately, because sometimes it feels like we hit certain things that take long. And, you know, we did actually hire our own design engineer and got some pre-work done in 2025. There's a prefab bridge that's over Beaver Brook on Phase 7, also completed in 2025. And now the big steps are starting to happen. And this is where we really partner with the town, along with key people that are project managers from the town side, because in order to accept a federal grant, the town has to be at part of the table. They're not going to give us $422,000. They're going to give it to the town. So CMA engineers, very experienced in rail trails, have been hired earlier this year. They're surveying right now. There's flags out there. They're generating final design, et cetera, et cetera. So the ball is rolling on Phase 7.
Yeah, so everyone says, when is it going to get done? Our best estimate right now is 2028 to get our connection to Derry. Hopefully they can do the same in 2028 as well. That's all I can say on that.
The federal process is heavy. The federal process has a lot of steps extra steps you have to take versus when we do the projects without federal money, and so steps mean time. So 2028 we expect to be done. We're hearing that Derry is thinking the same thing, 2028? Yeah.
They're working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no promises. Anyways, that's it. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
For the connection to Derry, where you cross 28 over to Seasons Lane, will you guys be having a crossing signal like what you have in the north end of town?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. It's called a pedestrian hybrid beacon, and actually we've already gotten we've done pre-engineering on it, and we've gotten state approval from the DOT on that.
Wonderful. Good.
Yeah.
And then what do you guys do with all the railroad tracks that are and all the steel that's left behind? Is that technically ownership of the railways, ownership of the town? Who owns that steel still?
So the only area where there were rail steel left over was in the Cohas section, which
Yeah,
is
the
in
north end, yeah.
North Londonderry, and that was owned by the state of New Hampshire, and they were in an agreement with another company to do a salvage on that years ago. And then there's you'll
But it
see,
still hasn't happened. I still see
you'll
it up
see
there.
a few pieces there. It's going to just stay there.
Okay.
Yep.
They salvaged it, and that's the state's call.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you haven't found any down in the Phase 7 area?
Nope.
And then, I guess, what are we looking at for Phase 6, and what kind of timing are we looking at for that?
You got
For
that
Lynn,
one.
I'll start with that one. So this is the most, Phase 6 up near the airport is the most complicated section because it involves several federal agencies. So TSA has a say because it's security. FAA has a say because it's an airport. And the the Manchester airport itself has they all have an important role to play. So that's a lot of agencies, and that's a lot of time.
Does the route go technically outside of the airport fencing, or
Just along the outside of the
Just along
fence,
the
but
outside.
it's still their property.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still under their jurisdiction, might be the more accurate way to say it. They have a lot, to say. So
Wow.
it's going to take a little bit longer. It's probably going to get broken into two pieces, where you go from where it ends today up to the Aviation Museum. Will be like a section, and then from the Aviation Museum up to the Manchester Town Line will be another section. And getting to the Aviation Museum is what we really want to do because that's safe parking. They're very excited about the rail trail coming to them, and they have said where they want to share their parking lot. They're really wonderful to work with. So we want to provide safe parking on that end.
And if I heard you correctly, our route connects up going northwest, and does it technically go into Goffstown in that direction and up towards Lebanon that way, or how does it get up
So
to?
when you go from the Aviation Museum, you go up Navigator Road, and then that will be the Londonderry Manchester line, right?
Right, but I guess I meant you guys had said earlier it goes through other towns throughout the rest of the state.
Yeah, so it goes up through Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
You can currently ride it all the way to Queen City Ave, I think it is. Yeah. And then Manchester's going to go straight up to Concord, and then it veers off.
Gotcha.
The Northern Rail Trail already exists. So where it's not done is Northern Manchester into Concord.
Okay.
There's grassroots groups and actual towns and cities working on it. It's called the Northern Rail Trail from Boscawen up to Lebanon, and it already exists.
Wonderful. I've been on another trail in Goffstown, and
Yes, that's a different one.
that one is not as nice as our trails, and as well as the trails through Derry and Wyndham. Certainly our trails are by far nicer. So, well done. That's all I
Sean.
had.
Well, after he's done.
All set.
Sean, go ahead.
I'd just like to say it reminded me of when you showed the pictures of the rail trail, the water part is my favorite part up by the airport, seeing all the turtles and things like that. But the question I have is the inner neighborhood trails. When you'd mentioned them and you'd mentioned it'd be nice if people could walk up to a Hannaford or Home Depot and things like that. Are there any plans to expand that? Because I mean, what we have now is great, but and I like how that it keeps people off the road, gives them a safe, beautiful place to walk, get in between places. I think the work you've done so far is really great on that. I think that doesn't get enough publicity versus the rail trail is big and beautiful, and that is the feature thing. But is there plans to expand that or to do something? And if there isn't, maybe think about that.
Years ago, we used to be, I'm a little embarrassed, I don't remember what it's called. What is it called when you're a committee that gives input to new design? What is it called? Thank you. My husband used to be on the planning board. Design review. So Trailways used to be officially on the design review process, where when a development was coming into town, we gave input and we came and spoke to the planning board. We didn't get anywhere, and we we just put our effort and our time and our talent on where we can make headway. And when we can't make headway, we go, see ya, and we go do where we can make headway. So I think you bring up a good point, Sean. I think we should probably re-engage in that process, in the design review process, because it really should be on, in my opinion, on a developer to add either through impact fees or through actual specific requests, to their development, in my
But
opinion.
Now that you say that, that does outline the challenge on expanding that. Okay, now I fully understand. Thank you.
Deb.
Sandy, thank you. I've always been a big cheerleader, as you know. Been there cleaning tires on that. What is that? What was that? Remember, we had all those tires. We had 2 containers full of tires.
Independence Drive. Yeah.
And I like what you're bringing forward. It's aligning with what the Green Team is doing, along with Beautify Londonderry, conservation, recreation, and I thought I might as well include you. It's August 6th. We're having a meeting here at 7 o'clock. And basically bringing up something that was on my goals, which was pocket parks, nature parks, connectability. And I know when people think pocket parks, they're thinking playgrounds. That's not what it is. It's a connectivity between neighborhoods, that land that the town owns that could be used to gather or to do whatever. So I would hope that the Trailways would want to come in with our bigger group and look at this. We've got the town manager had the GIS guy give us a map, so we know exactly kind of what we're looking at and where we want to go and where the low fruit is first, and the easier fruit. And one of them is from the LAFA, right, going behind here, behind the Grange, across the street, behind the church, by the meeting house, ending up down towards Max as a nice snowshoe, nice rail trail, walking trail, connecting those 2 areas so people can walk that, park at the municipal strip, park at the library, take that walk, and not have to worry about taking their lives in their hands on Mammoth Road. Also, it saves the taxpayers money because we don't have to put in sidewalks, maintain them, have the liability of it, and things like that.
Nothing wrong with sidewalks, though.
In
Densely populated
we're just not there
areas. In densely populated areas, that's where they belong, in my opinion. But send us the invitation. We'd love to hear more.
I just added you to my list of people.
I had one more question.
Ted, go ahead.
For your counter that had been done by South New Hampshire Commission, how do they perform that with pedestrian walkers and bikers and rollerbladers and different locations that people may actually access?
They have an electronic machine that they set up, and I know they explained it to me once, and I can't explain it to you again, but I know they have a way of
Not double counting?
not having duplicates.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're
Do they set up different
they're pretty
machines at different
savvy
spots
at it
and-
with the machines. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, like, some people may park by the bus station, some people may park at North School, so...
you have to go past the counter to be counted.
Right, so in other words, usage could be even higher.
Right.
is what you're-
Yeah.
So usage could be even higher because they put it, let's say, near Verani Way, and if you're only walking between North School and Coca-Cola, then you're not getting counted.
Right.
Right, you have to pass in front of it. But I thought it counted anyways, we'll have to talk
Yeah,
about that.
but they do move it around though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Southern New Hampshire Planning has invited us to come to one of their meetings coming up.
September 23rd, we're going to be doing a tour of the rail trail to all of the commission members all over the state because it's their 60th anniversary for the Planning Commission.
And so they've asked us to do a walking tour. Bob's going to lead it, of a section of the rail trail and talk about it from a planning perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. But we'll get ourselves a little more educated on the counting part. Let you know how that works.
Dan?
All right.
I just want to say thank you for all the hard work you guys put into this because maintaining those trails is a lot of work. I've used the Northern Rail Trail and Londonderry Rail Trail. You can see it's cut back, it's maintained, and that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of volunteers. And I just want to say thank you for everything you guys do. It's not. It's hard to. It's a lot of work just to get it ready, but to continue maintaining it is the key. And you guys do a great job with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other?
The town manager asked me, like, what do you guys do about maintenance when we first had a meeting many months ago? And I said, so far, the maintenance of the rail trail has been within the scope that we can handle. But, we can foresee that things are going to happen where we're going to need a little bit more expertise than Bob has. And, it's really nice to know that we're going to have, engineers or DPW if something comes up. We'll always be fundraising. We'll always be trying to, make it happen. But sometimes we need to rely on the expertise that only town staff can bring that we don't have on our board.
Well, and certainly potentially phase 6.
Yeah, and a real big thanks to Dave Wally and John Trottier. I mean, those two guys work with me really closely on maintenance and the development of the trail. And there's many other town members like Kirsten and people in the planning department. But it is really a team effort.
Yeah, 100%.
Any other questions?
I was just going through and making sure, in the 10-year highway plan, the rail trail part from Londonderry to Derry, I know there's a lot of changes in that plan, but it was still included in there, so that's good to know we're getting state funds for that too.
Anything else? Well, I want to thank you both for what you do.
All
It's much appreciated. Thank you.
bet.